Well, this video is going live on Christmas Eve and I hope you all have a fantastic day tomorrow. But this video isn't about Christmas or Christmas Eve, it's actually about what we call Boxing Day down here in Australia. And it's the day after Christmas where you clean up all your boxes and you've got a whole lot of leftovers to use up. So I'm gonna run you through 3 recipes, and there might be a little cheeky 4th one in there too, we'll see how it turns out, of how to use up Christmas leftovers. So let's get stuck in. First up, we're gonna make bubble and squeak. So there's only one rule that I've given myself for today, and that is we're only using what's in my fridge. And there's actually not that much in the fridge apart from what we have leftovers from the Christmas video we filmed yesterday. So I've got some roast spuds, some roast carrots, some Brussels sprouts. I honestly also think Brussels sprouts make bubble and squeak. Some stuffing I think works really well. And I've got heaps of roast beef. You don't need to put meat into bubble and squeak. Often there's no meat in it, but we've got heaps of it to use up. So we'll put some meat in there too. Get a heat source. I like a non-stick pan. You can do it in a really well seasoned cast iron pan. If you want to use a stainless steel pan, it is a bit harder because you kind of need, for stainless steel to work, you need heat. And with this, you kind of want to bring it up slowly. But real simple, we're going to start with the spuds. Get some carrots in there, some sprouts and bacon, some stuffing. And then the only thing I'm going to need to cut up is my beef. So I'm going to take one of these nice end bits and just dice it up. And I'm going to leave all that fat in there because that'll render down and help kind of keep the bubble and squeak from drying out. And that goes. I'm going to put on a little bit more oil to get this going. It's going to be a big old bubble and squeak. Then we're going to take a masher. And it's going to start mashing everything together. And you don't want this like super fine, but we're basically trying to open up those potatoes. Because once they open up, that's going to be the glue that's going to stick everything together. Now, some of you might be looking at this and thinking, that looks absolutely rank. But trust me, it works. The reason I say that is because Dazz is standing behind the camera thinking, that looks absolutely rank.
I'm not convinced yet.
Dazz, this is very classic English leftover food. People love it so much that you'll find like good gastropubs, or pubs in general, will have it on their menu like all year round, which is kind of crazy. Once we've got a bit of heat and all that stuff, I probably should have cut those carrots off a bit smaller, but that's all right. We're basically gonna kind of pat it down and get it real tight, and then we wanna form a real nice crispy layer on the outside. So turn the temperature right down low. We wanna kind of form this crispy layer nice and slowly. And if you don't wanna make one this big, you can definitely make it a lot smaller, like a kind of a 1 portion one. This is what you're looking for too. You're looking for the fat from all that veg and that little bit of olive oil to start being on the outside. That's how you know you've probably got enough in there. If you don't kind of start seeing that, then you probably want to add a little bit more. This has been cooking for probably 7 or 8 minutes now and it's looking good. The tricky thing is with bubble and squeak, unlike pancakes, you can't have a little cheeky look under to see how the color is. So it's gonna be a real test of my intuition right now. Mitch looks nervous because we're gonna flip this out and it should be perfectly golden crispy all across the bottom. And if it's not, I'm a terrible chef and you should all scold me in the comments. My whole career's over. I know, I'm nervous, I won't lie. Okay, I turn the heat off. It's gonna kind of let it settle for a second, or am I just procrastinating because I'm that nervous? Okay, we're gonna go plate on the top. That looks risky. Oh! Oh! How's my career looking, Dazz?
Shambles. Recoverable.
It's recoverable. Hold fire, I'll sort this out. It's probably a little darker than I would have liked, so I'm not gonna lie. Give it a clean. Okay, so for me, no bubble and squeak is complete without some fried eggs. So we just use the same pan. I'm just gonna pull these burnt bits out of the bottom.
Caramelized bits.
Caramelized bits, thanks Mitchell. Heat on, eggs in. Watch me like break all these yolks. So that part there, that's exactly what you're looking for. This part, not so much. We'll cover it with the fried eggs. Season our eggs. Oh, that's why I burnt it. The gas was almost out. It's all right, we've got a new studio soon, guys. This won't be an issue soon. There we go. Bubble and squeak, fried eggs, absolutely delicious. Might not look like it. Stick around for the rest of the episode, because I promise I'll get better. Stunning. Here's something I hadn't actually planned on doing, but I pulled the Yorkies out of the fridge and I thought, what can I do with those? I thought, well, why not do a bread pudding? Then I realized I had no cream to make custard, but I have a whole carton of buttermilk that I have no use for. So we're gonna try and make a buttermilk custard and then make a bread pudding out of Yorkies. How's it gonna go? I have no idea, but we'll let Mitchell and Dazz be the judge to see if it actually worked or not, because I'm gonna be biased and they'll be honest. So we'll make a real simple custard. La pot, that's French for pot, because Alex made this pot. Turn that off for now. Get that buttermilk in there. That's 600 mils of buttermilk. I'm gonna go 3 egg yolks. I'm gonna go some brown sugar, because I like the kind of molassesy flavor. And that bread's obviously not sweet at all, so we're gonna go a fair amount of sugar. Recipe development live. We're gonna use some corn flour, corn with a backwards K. If you know why, you know why. If you don't worry about it. Let's go 2 tablespoons. Some egg yolks, 3. Okay, we got a little bit of vanilla essence. Now we're just gonna give this a whisk. Ooh, I don't know about the color. Maybe that brown sugar was a bad idea. I feel like I might have too much custard for the amount of Yorkies I have. Get them on a low heat. We're gonna bake this as well, so we don't need to kind of stress too much about cooking this custard right out. Just make sure we keep moving it so it doesn't turn into scrambled eggs. It looks like coffee, doesn't it? I literally tasted it and then looked at the judges and thought, needs more sugar. Well, I'm gonna put currants in it. Dazz is all right, Mitch is not happy. Buttermilk certainly makes it kind of have a nice little sour note. I don't mind it, but I'm not sure if the kids are gonna like it. All right, I reckon that's enough. Put that to the side for now. Cast iron pan, or any baking dish will work. Let's try a little cute guy. That's better. Mitchell's favorite. All right, I'm gonna pop that in an oven. Bit much custard in there, I reckon, but we'll soon find out. In the oven, and we'll find out at the end if it's any good or not. Okay, we're gonna make some fried rice. For me, this is a classic leftovers, I guess, dish to put together. There's always cooked rice in my house. I've got some roast chicken left over. I'm gonna use some of the sprouts, and there's some pretty manky looking spring onions and some garlic chives. Let's get all this stuff chopped up and we're good to go. And I'm gonna just pull some chicken apart here. I wouldn't put the skin in because we're gonna try and cook a lot of fried rice. Like I'm gonna cook all that rice. If you're just thinking of doing like one portion, you could probably leave the skin in there and it would kind of crisp up. But yeah, I think if you're doing a big batch, this goes kind of flaccid and weird. Chicken's done. Let's deal with these veg. I'll keep these pretty chunky. If you've got like an old courgette or some corn, peas left over, that'd work really well in here. Any kind of green veg. But I'll show you how we're gonna cook all this because obviously this raw stuff's gonna cook differently to the cooked stuff and how we kind of deal with cooking a lot of fried rice at one time when we don't have a restaurant style wok. So I'm just gonna go through these spring onions, pull off the outside bits. Probably not gonna get to use much of the green part. We'll keep that in 2 parts. Keep the whites there, and the greens we'll keep for the end. Then we've got our sprouts and bacon. Laughing. Get a wok or fry pan. We're gonna do some eggs as well. So I've got 4 eggs. Let's give those a mix. So to cook fried rice successfully for a lot of people in the home kitchen, we have to do it in sections. We're gonna start with the eggs. So get a good amount of oil, this is peanut oil, into your wok. Make sure it's ripping hot before you put the eggs in. We're gonna keep the seasonings really simple here. I'm just gonna use a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of white pepper. Oil's hot, eggs going. Push back, bring forward, pull back, bring forward. Done. We don't need to fully cook them, because we're gonna go back in. Now we're gonna get the rest of it hot before we put the rice in, then we're gonna toss it all together. First in the chicken, put a little bit of oil in there. You don't need much, there's a little bit of fat that'll render off this chicken. And all we're doing is just trying to bring it up to temperature. Now we've got that chicken up to temperature, we can start adding veggies. So we're gonna start with the raw stuff first. The garlic chives, they're gonna take the longest. Let's get some heat on them. Now the spring onion whites. Now we're gonna add some sprouts. It starts to stick, just add a little bit more oil. We're not gonna do too much seasoning at this point. Don't overdo it. A little bit of soy sauce around the outside, a little bit of white pepper. The reason I kind of say that, don't overdo it, you gotta think about when you cooked all this food for your Chrissy dinner or whenever, you should have seasoned it all pretty well then. Once it's all looking pretty vibrant, so those garlic shoots are looking nice and green, a little bit of wok hay on there, what we're after. Now turn the heat off, and we're gonna take all this out. Now it's important, we're gonna keep our wok nice and clean at this point. If we don't, your rice is gonna stick. So it's really important that it's old, day-old rice that's kind of been left in the fridge overnight, and that dries it out. That really helps with it sticking. But you see all this like kind of sticky stuff here. You want the wok to look like it is on the bottom, which is really well seasoned. If you rub your paper towel over it and you can feel it scratching, probably gonna stick. So I've just put a little bit of water in that wok, and I got a little brush, and that's just gonna gently take off all that sticky protein from the chicken. The heat back on, we try and dry that out. Nice, dry, clean wok. More oil back in. Let that get proper hot before we put our rice in. So if you're just doing this for one person, you can probably get away with just doing it all at once. But when you start doing this amount of rice and this amount of veg, you do need to do it in sections, unless you've got a big, super hot wok at home, which not many people do. It's really important that we get this wok nice and hot, and we make sure we've got oil on all the sides. Now that oil's starting to smoke, let's get our rice in. You can see now that rice isn't sticking, which is what we want. Don't start moving it heaps and heaps. You've got to make sure the wok comes back up to temperature before we start trying to move the rice. And when you do, just gentle. Just little bits. If it starts to stick, you're gonna need to add more oil. We're trying to break up the rice here and heat it through. This is a prime example of me saying starting to stick. You see it sticking here? It's not what we want. And there, right there, is a good example of it too. So it does start to stick. You're gonna need to add a little bit more oil around the outside. So at this point, we're trying to coat the rice evenly in oil. You don't want one spot that's oilier than the other. See that at the bottom? It's nice and clean. That's what we want, a clean wok. Now we can start tossing. I'm happy that the rice has got a decent amount of temperature through. I am gonna add a little bit more oil, and it's time to get our egg back in. Chop that up. Our chicken and veg, our spring onion greens, and we're gonna add a little bit more soy sauce around the outside. A little bit of white pepper, and start tossing that through. So this is looking pretty good to me. You've got a pretty even distribution of all those veggies. You've got a little bit of wok, not much. It's pretty hard to get like good wok unless you've got a really powerful burner, and it should be pretty well seasoned. We're just gonna check for seasoning before we serve it. Actually, a little bit more soya. I'll give it a little pinch of salt too. A little bit of MSG too if you want. Heat off, time to serve it up. Now, if I've done my job properly, there shouldn't be too much sticking to this wok, and I'm pretty happy with that. For that much fried rice, got a little bit of sticking around the outside, and that's only natural because this is obviously really well seasoned, and the outside's kind of tricky to get well seasoned, so I'm pretty happy with that. And there you go, leftover fried rice, served with some homemade sambal. There should be a short video for that somewhere. Or some delicious chili crisp. I've made a video for that a long time ago, but this is a great store-bought one anyway. At least enough fried rice for 4 people, if not 6, depending on the big eaters. And it's absolutely delicious. One of my absolute favorites and go-tos when it comes to using up leftovers. Woo! That looks pretty good. Pretty happy with how it turned out. It's nice and souffled up, little crispy bits on the top. It's nuclear hot though, so I won't put Mitch and Dazz through the torture of eating it right now. Let's let it cool down a bit and then they can taste it and give us a final verdict. We're gonna make some roast beef wraps. If you haven't seen, I did a video on making wraps. These aren't the ones I've made. We brought them from my local bakery. I cheated. But we did make piccalilli. This is the piccalilli that we made and there's a video on. Go check that out. I love piccalilli. Now, the only other thing with a wrap is I think it needs a salad, right? The roast beef's easy. We've got lots of that. We need a salad. I don't have any lettuce here, but I have got some leftover veg and I have got heaps of herbs. And I love herbs in salad. So we're gonna pick some parsley, just the nice big leaves. And I think people need to think outside the box when it comes to like making salads for sandwiches. Don't be afraid to kind of use some stuff that you wouldn't normally. The shops are shut. You gotta do what you gotta do. You might surprise yourself. Might make something delicious. That'll do. We're gonna make 3 wraps. I reckon that's enough. Then I've got some carrots here. How am I gonna slice these? I'm just gonna slice them like this, I think. Stunning. I think the trick is when you're making wraps especially, but kind of sandwiches, is cutting things small so that it doesn't kind of like rip off in your mouth, if that makes sense. Now I've got some sprouts left over. Run our knife through these as well. In they go. Okay, let's have a think about this. So got some piccalilli, that's got some nice mustardy kind of pickly flavors. Got some veg, it's kind of pretty well dressed. Got a bit of earthiness from the parsley. We've got our roast beef. I think just some pickled onions. Video for that in the shorts as well. I reckon slice some beef and we're good to go. So I like to have roast beef sandwiches cold. Because of that, you need to cut all the fat out because no one likes to eat a big bit of cold fat. That's not very nice. So we're gonna cut that out and just cut some nice slices. Move this to a side. So I guess for me, this is about what you've got to use at hand. Kind of why I did the shorts videos on this stuff. I always have piccalilli in my house at this time of the year because it's perfect for this type of stuff. So we're gonna get some of that down first. Good amount of acidity, a little bit of sweetness. And we think about everything else you're putting with it. So you gotta make sure there's some sharpness and some texture. Next, we're gonna lay the meat. Caleb's getting hungry. Don't overfill it either, like when Caleb makes tacos. Pickled onions. Never use your fingers to get pickles out of jars because your fingers are dirty. Then your pickles won't last as long. Get those on there. Hefty amount of onions, but I'm here for it. Then we have our little salad. Nice and colorful, good flavor. How good. I think I've overfilled these, but I'll wrap these puppies up and toast them if you want. And wrap them in paper and take them on a picnic, take them up the beach. Tell you what, if I got given that, I'd be pretty happy. All right, I'm gonna chuck a little toothpick in there to keep it from going apart. Make sure you let your people know who are eating this. Look at that, leftover sangers never look so good. Delicious. So quick recap on the sandwich. Use what you've got at hand. You don't need to go out and buy stuff. Make sure you got components there. You need some acid in there. So like the piccalilli and the pickled onions in this case. And then try and think about textures as well. That will really help. And then it's a choose your own journey. You can heat the meat up, you can not, you can toast this, you can leave them as they are. It's completely up to you. Anyway, I think it's time to do the sacrilege thing and eat dessert first. I'm really intrigued to see how this tastes. I'm gonna taste it before I let those two lovely people taste it. Okay, I like the crunchy top. Probably should have broken the Yorkies up a bit more. Smells good. Okay, I have some thoughts, but I'm gonna keep them to myself until these two mugs taste it. I don't know why I called you mugs. I'm on the cameras.
It's good, chef. Needs more vanilla.
Yeah, you can't taste much vanilla, can you?
I like it.
Good bit of crunch.
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a little bit eggy, but I think that's because of the Yorkies.
It wasn't my first thought, so.
That wasn't
Yeah,
my
okay.
first thought either.
Maybe a fraction sweeter.
Look how much more sugar it is.
If
I'm
I
a
had
sweet
ice
dude.
cream,
Oh yeah, if I had ice cream, it'd be good.
Whip up some ice cream
Job
in the
done.
next 10 minutes and
if you
yeah,
made
it
that
finishes.
exactly as it is, I'd be happy with that.
Cool.
So there you go, 4. Thought we were gonna do 3, but we did 4 dishes, all from leftovers from your Chrissy dinner. The key thing is to think outside the box. Don't follow these recipes to the T. If you haven't got garlic chives, don't use them. If you haven't got flatbreads and you've got sourdough, use that. If you haven't got the skills like Andy to burn your bubble and squeak, then just cook it normally. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, legends. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We will be back on New Year's Eve for a very special video. I'll probably get the whole team involved in that one, so we'll see you then. Peace.